It was 48 hours that shook the world when catastrophe came to paradise. First Samoa and then Indonesia struck by killer quakes. Thousands are feared dead. In Samoa, it was a giant tsunami that wrought the devastation, a wall of water that swept all before it. The very next day, a massive quake brought havoc to Padang city in Indonesia. Tonight, we'll take you to the very epicentre of both disasters. Scenes of amazing survival and heart-wrenching loss. Our coverage begins in Padang with Liam Bartlett.
Can you just go underneath that? Underneath that? No, go up, around like that, a little bit more there. What's down in there? Yeah, just
making the most of the last minutes of daylight. This Aussie search and rescue team has hit the ground running on its first day in Indonesia.
There's two pieces of timber, one there and one below it.
And the chances of survival?
The chances of survival are good for the next 3 days. It's certainly worth our effort to persevere.
Queenslander John Roberts says every minute is precious in the urgent mission to find survivors.
I'll just get the thermal imaging camera just so that we can check that.
So John, looking for sound?
Yes.
And also for heat?
And if we can find one person, then we'll be delighted.
And if there's someone in there, then you've got to work out how to get them out.
Yeah, that's the next challenge. So yes, first pinpoint them, secondly access them.
It's hard to imagine that all this destruction occurred in little more than 60 seconds. And you can see why so many people had so little time to save themselves.
Strike! Boo, 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 boo. Oh, I just think that house will fall down and make me like this.
That must have been very frightening.
Yeah, very scared. Everybody scream.
When the quake struck in peak hour, just after 5 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, Padang's city streets and buildings were teeming with its 1 million people. Thousands were out shopping for food when the main market building collapsed. That used to be the markets.
The main market. It used to be like that, 2 stories, when the top was packed and the bottom was packed. And when it shook, it just came down, and look at it now.
Jane Liddon works for Island Aid.
So they know they're already dead. Yeah.
She's lived here for 15 years, through numerous quakes, tremors and a tsunami, but never this bad.
The earthquakes you have here generally are nothing as strong as this one. This one was so strong in comparison that they just don't expect this to happen. No one, I've spoken to so many people and they just said, I never thought this would happen.
The best guess is that hundreds died in the market alone. Many who survived the initial collapse died in the ensuing fire. The death toll began in the hundreds and quickly climbed. Padang's hospital is like a war zone. A makeshift morgue marks the main entrance. Rows and rows of people lie seriously injured. Nellie is 6?
Yes.
This little girl and her baby sister were rushed out of the house by their mother.
And they were actually outside of the house, in front of the house, when one of the walls fell out and fell on
them?
On her and the babysitter, and the babysitter dead.
The amateur video makes it clear how a quake this big can cause such instant terror through its sheer force. People clung to trees, light poles and each other, not knowing what to do or where to run. And all this in a town where earthquakes are nothing new.
No city on earth has had more wake-up calls than Padang. It had a wake-up call in 2004, which it learned from. It learned to run when they have a big earthquake. It had a wake-up call again in 2005 with an 8.7 to the north. 2007, another 2 earthquakes in a matter of 12 hours, and then now this one.
Professor Kerry C an earthquake geologist working with the Indonesian Institute of Sciences, predicted the quake that caused the Boxing Day tsunami in the same region 5 years ago. And he says this latest quake is only a precursor to the major disaster to come. A quake that could send a giant tsunami to Australia's northern shores.
If Java could have a big magnitude 9, which is still way up in the air, and nobody knows the answer to that question, if it had a magnitude 9, you'd have a very big tsunami hitting the northwestern Australian coast. That's a big unknown right now for Australians.
It was only a day after a larger earthquake and tsunami struck off the coast of Samoa. That quake erupted on the notorious Ring of Fire, a chain of unstable geological fault lines circling the Pacific, where the Earth's slowly moving tectonic plates collide violently. Australia's plate is steadily heading north and crunching into Indonesia. The resulting pressure can be earth-shattering.
The people crying out were saying, "Bantu."
What does that mean?
Help, help. People in the street were trying to help them, and they were saying they were Jim Pitt, they were stuck, they were trapped beneath things up there.
The carnage was indiscriminate. Some buildings left intact and others destroyed. The big Ambachang Hotel was one of the best in town. Air hostesses and insurance agents were in 2 separate seminars, and dozens perished.
They got some people out on the morning.
The rescue here brought out the best and the worst in human nature. Survivors being pulled out at one end, while looters were busy at the other.
Oh, what are these people doing?
We are taking all the TVs out because the militaries have been taking them away.
Incredibly, those sent to help appeared to be souveniring TV sets and computers.
Oh, they're plundering it. The military are plundering it.
Yes.
What are they doing?
The military are plundering it.
Around the corner, they're drilling into a room where 4 people are said to be trapped. Surrounding all of the sites are hundreds of shocked onlookers and panicked loved ones. But Jane, it's less than 48 hours after the quake. That looks more like a demolition job than a rescue job.
I agree with you.
If you were the relatives of any of the people trapped standing
You
here,
want to be watching.
you'd be beside yourself, wouldn't you?
It's very sad.
And everywhere, the scene was the same. Heavy-handed mechanical force, with the best of intentions, but terrifying if you're trapped beneath. There's at least 70 primary school-aged children still trapped under that rubble. As you can see, the diggers leaving, they've had enough. They can't find any more, so they've given up. Sealed the fate of the kids, and what happens next, well, who knows?
And can you go up at all? I just want to see what's...
The best hope now for anyone still trapped is with the high-tech equipment and expertise of the Australian Rescue Task Force.
What happens is the building gets shook from side to side, and the whole thing comes down like a stack of pancakes.
The Aussies have just 3 days to inspect 29 buildings where survivors are thought to be trapped inside. And perhaps we can use the experience. The best science says a huge Indonesian quake could devastate us if the big one finally arrives.
This earthquake that just happened is relatively small, even though it did a lot of damage and killed people here. The next one we think will be about an 8.8. The big one, culminating earthquake, will be about an 8.8.
And the clock is still ticking for that countdown.
Right. And nobody quite knows whether it's going to be a 30-second clock or a 30-year clock.
The Indonesian earthquake came just a day after Samoa suffered its tragedy. The tiny Pacific island was hit by a tsunami in the aftermath of an even more powerful quake. For one Australian family, the disaster has meant great heartache and uncertainty. Over the past few years, they've been sponsoring school children in a tiny village on Samoa's south coast, which bore the brunt of the killer wave. Carl Stefanovic joins them as they return to search for survivors.
For Wendy O'Neill and her family, this journey to Samoa was about hope.
Where are all the people?
Hope that the place and the people they love are still here.
This is a hard journey for you, isn't it?
It's very hard. It's so sad. I think it's going to get worse, isn't it?
When you knew you were coming back, what was your first thoughts?
That it was going to be very confronting. I just want to know that the people that we know are safe.
A strong woman who has battled and won against breast cancer and a brain tumour, she herself is a survivor. But as Wendy and her husband Peter arrive at the school they helped build for this small Samoan village, the eerie silence tells a grim story. The children are gone. A policeman confirms what appears to be the worst.
Any loss of life?
Yeah, we're still looking for seven 3 kids.
And these were the beautiful, innocent faces of Samoa. Not a care in the world, their lives before them. An idyllic life by the sea filled with laughter and precious memories. Now, those smiles and a generation for this village is gone.
It's not the place we know and love anymore, and I don't think it will be again. It's very surreal. We've only ever come here for happy times, and this is really, really sad and distressing.
But somehow, among all the destruction, there have been some survivors. We find them high on top of a mountain, huddled under makeshift housing. The injured, young and old, just lucky to be alive. And it's this man, the village pastor, Wendy and Peter have been searching for.
I'm so glad you're okay.
Wendy, I'm sorry, yeah, some of the kids you met this year.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I've got all their photos.
Yeah. Waya Israelu witnessed Mother Nature's unforgiving ferocity firsthand.
Describe to me just what it was like that morning of the tsunami.
All of a sudden then we saw this huge big wave came, well, it was so powerful, you know, it smashed everything away. It was unbelievable, I just couldn't believe the sight of it.
At 6:30 in the morning, Samoa was struck by a massive earthquake. The shame of all of this is that it should have triggered a tsunami warning, allowing villagers enough time to move to higher ground. That warning never came, so children were out on this previously idyllic beach playing. They were in the water. Some were walking to school along the road. By the time they saw that great wave coming, it was too late. There was no escape. And all of this damage happened in less than a minute.
Was there any warning at all besides what you saw?
No, none at all. I think they could have given us some signal.
But anger is not an emotion that can help these people right now. There are so many more urgent concerns.
Remember Rachel?
Oh, yeah.
Wendy and Pastor Wire are sifting through photos of the children lost.
She was only found yesterday.
This woman alone will need to say goodbye to 3 of her grandchildren. Yet she's also in need of medical attention.
Who put the dressing on?
The hospital.
The hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Wendy's sister Lynn is here to help too, to do what she can. A registered nurse, this is bigger than anything she's seen, and it's personal.
Lynn, I guess there's only so much one nurse can do here.
Yeah, that's certainly right. She's got a massive hematoma on her right buttock, and a dressing on her right buttock as well. And
if she was in Australia, would she be in hospital?
Yeah.
The townspeople may now be safe, out of harm's reach. But there is a sobering reality. The search for the missing continues, not only here but across Samoa's ravaged coastline.
Just what do all these people have left of their lives and their homes?
Most 90% of the people have nothing.
But for a people who live amongst nature and at her mercy, there is hope and there is faith. That is all they have.
The children, they know something awful has happened, but they're children and they can just keep playing, and good luck to them. They fall, they bounce back laughing. They are just gorgeous.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.